Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Thursday, April 28th, 2022. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to leave your baseball picks down in the comments section below. If you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pickdawgz.com at the Premium Picks tab. I'm going to be running a daily $15 MLB best bet, so you can check that out at Pick Dawgz Premium. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Thursday, April 28th. First up, we're going to look at the afternoon contest between the Milwaukee Brewers and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, Freddie Peralta and Jose Quintana on the mound for this one. And we saw Freddie Peralta struggle quite a bit out of the gates this season. In his first outing against the Cubs, he allowed 3 earned runs in 4 innings. Against the Cardinals, he gave up 6 earned runs in 3 innings. But last time out, he was on the road at a pretty good Philadelphia Phillies lineup, and he gave up only 1 earned run in 5 innings of work with 6 strikeouts. It was by far his best outing, and it was a very promising one as well. And now he takes on a Pittsburgh Pirates lineup that's been inconsistent this season, with Jose Quintana on the other side. You know, Quintana only a 3.86 ERA this year, but I don't think that's going to last for very long. You know, he's given up a lot of walks this season already. He actually has the same amount of strikeouts as he has walks this year, with 8 apiece. To me, that's not going to get it done to the starting pitcher. And for the most part, he's faced pretty weak lineups. He's faced the Cubs twice and the Nationals once. I think this will be the toughest battle he's seen this season. So, I think the Brewers, for me in this game, even though the Brewers don't have the best price on the road, it would be a Brewers run line or passing the game altogether. So I'll lay the 1.5 with Milwaukee in a lean here. Next up, we have the San Diego Padres taking on the Cincinnati Reds, with Nick Martinez and Tyler Mahle on the mound for this one. Now, the Cincinnati Reds have got to be considered right now the worst team in baseball, and I wouldn't blame you if you didn't want to take them in this kind of spot, but I do think that there is some value, at least in the first 5 innings with the Reds, as I do think that they have a pretty good advantage in the starting pitching matchup. Nick Martinez this season, he only has a 4.3 ERA, which isn't too bad for a starter where he is in the rotation. But you got to look at his advanced analytics, and that's what really scares me. A 7.99 FIP this year and an expected ERA of 7.04. He's got 13 strikeouts in 14 2/3 innings. Not too bad, but he's also allowed 10 walks in those innings and 5 home runs. And, those are the walks and home runs really, really scare me going into this spot, because he's going to be pitching at a hitter's ballpark at Great American Park. I know the Reds' bats have been pretty inconsistent, but I do think Mahle pitches well, at least in the first few innings of this one. And, I don't trust the Reds' bullpen very much, so I'd rather just take Cincinnati in the first 5 innings. I think they get to Martinez and have a lead after the first 5. In our next game, we're going to see the Baltimore Orioles taking on the New York Yankees, with Bruce Zimmerman and Jameson Taillon on the mound for this one. Now, to me, Jameson Taillon is just not a minus 225 pitcher. I know he's at home, and I know the Yankees have played well at Yankee Stadium this season. But, Jameson Taillon, I think, is a good option to have at the back end of the rotation. You just can't lay a price like this with him, even when the Yankees are rolling as of late. And Bruce Zimmerman on the other side, he's pitched so well for the Orioles, probably their number 1 starter this season, with a 1-0 record and a 1.2 ERA, 16 strikeouts in 15 innings. And he already faced this Yankees lineup at Camden Yards. Didn't give up a single earned run, or he didn't give up a single run at all. 5 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 6 strikeouts as well. And that was a 5-0 Orioles outright win in that one. I think the Orioles do have some value, at least on the run line here. I think this is going to be a pretty low-scoring game to begin with. So with runs coming at a premium, I think taking the 1.5 runs with the dog makes some sense. So give me the Orioles plus 1.5 in this one. Next up, we have the Colorado Rockies taking on the Philadelphia Phillies, with Antonio Senzatella and Zach Wheeler as your starters. Now, I don't love this game betting-wise, but I do think I'd take a lean with the Phillies on the run line here. Just because you look at Antonio Senzatella, he really struggled his last time out, and he's really just given up too many base hits for my liking. He has a 2.03 whip this season, a 4.73 ERA. He just gave up 10 hits and 5 earned runs, with a home run against the Tigers and a 13-0 Rockies loss. And although Zach Wheeler has not been impressive this season, I do think he has a much better chance at improving down the stretch this year than Antonio Senzatella does. I think we see a much sharper Wheeler in this spot and going forward. So I'm going to take the Phillies on the run line and a lean in this one. Next up, we see the Miami Marlins taking on the Washington Nationals in this NL East battle. We see Trevor Rogers and Patrick Corbin, a pair of lefties, going at it this season. And both guys, combined record 0-6. Both of them are 0-3 to start this season. But I do like Rogers a little bit better in this spot, and I like the Marlins lineup and bullpen also. So I'm going to take Miami on the money line. Patrick Corbin was a guy that I was optimistic about going into the season. I thought he was going to have a little bit of a bounce back year. Has not been the case. 11.2 ERA. Coming off another really rough outing against the Giants, where he gave up 7 earned runs in only an inning and 2/3. He gave up a homer and 3 walks in that one, 7 hits. So he really has not figured it out yet. And the Marlins have done a better job against left-handed pitching this season than Washington has. Washington, one of the worst teams in team OPS against lefties this season. I think the Marlins bats can get to Patrick Corbin here. I think Rogers has his best outing of the year, and I like the Marlins to win this game on the road. Next up, we see the Detroit Tigers taking on the Minnesota Twins with Bailey Ober and Tariq Skubal as your projected starters. Now, both guys have really impressed me this season. Both guys really taking the next step in their careers. We saw them struggle at times last season, especially Tariq Skubal, but hey, Skubal with a 2.3 ERA, Bailey with a 2.81 ERA, and that's the reason why this total is set super low at 7 right now. And I like the under in this game, at least in the first 5 innings when the starters are in. The bullpens this season for both of these teams have been a little bit inconsistent. We saw a few runs scored late in the game, in the first game of this series. And I wouldn't want to really get involved with the bullpens, but I do think this is going to be a slower start to this game. And I like the under in the first 5 innings, so that's where I'm headed in this one. Next up, we see the Seattle Mariners taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Looks like the Rays are going to go with the bullpen game here, while the Mariners are going to bring out Chris Flexen on the mound. Now, Chris Flexen, I do worry about him a little bit in this spot and going forward, as although he has a 3.63 ERA, I think it's a little bit misleading. Advanced analytics are not his friend right now. 6.19 expected ERA this season. And a lot of that stems with the fact that he does not miss a lot of bats. 5.7 strikeouts per 9 this year, and he's given up a home run in each of his last 2 starts. And the Tampa Bay Rays have done a pretty good job against right-handed pitching this season, and I do like their matchups against Flexen, a guy that's kind of likes to nibble around the zone. Like I said, doesn't miss a lot of bats, puts a lot of balls into play. He's pitched deep into his last 2 outings, 6 and 7 innings. I just don't trust him on the road in this spot, and we've seen Seattle play a lot better at home than they do on the road in general also. So give me the Rays on the money line here. I think it's a good enough price to take a shot with Tampa Bay. Next up, we see the Houston Astros taking on the Texas Rangers. And in this one, we're going to see Justin Verlander and Martin Perez as your projected starters. Justin Verlander off to a strong start this year, a 1.89 ERA, a .74 whip. He's got 20 strikeouts and 19 innings of work. Now, the only thing that has concerned me this year with Verlander is the home runs. He's allowed 3 homers in his first 3 outings. I'd like to see that number decrease a bit. But overall, he's pitching well for the Astros. On the other side, Martin Perez, I got to give it to him. I didn't expect him to have that great of a year this year, but 3.86 ERA in the spot he is in the rotation, not too bad. And he pitched really well last time out against the Athletics. I thought the A's had a really good chance of getting to him, but he pitched 6 shutout innings and really just controlled that game for the Rangers. But in this spot, I think he is in a little bit of trouble going up against Verlander. I think the Astros are just too much for the Rangers to handle here, and especially when this game gets to the bullpens, I still think Houston has the advantage. So give me the Astros on the money line on the road. Next up, we see the Kansas City Royals taking on the Chicago White Sox with Brad Keller and Michael Kopech as your projected starters here. Now, we saw the White Sox finally get their first win in a long time. They snapped that big-time losing streak on Wednesday afternoon in the 7-3 final score. I do think the White Sox are going to be playing with a little bit of momentum going into this one. And overall, I think this is a pretty good pitching matchup with Brad Keller and Kopech. Keller, 2.55 ERA this year, a .91 whip. He's pitched well for the Royals. On the other side, Michael Kopech, a .64 ERA. He's got 15 strikeouts and 14 innings of work, a .79 whip. He hasn't given up a single home run, only 1 earned run allowed this season. I think both teams are going to struggle offensively, especially in freezing weather at Guaranteed Rate Field. It looks like it's going to be in the mid-40s in this one. Give me the under in this game. I think we see runs coming at premium. Next up, we see the Boston Red Sox taking on the Toronto Blue Jays with Garrett Whitlock and Alek Manoah as your projected starters. Now, this series has been really fun to watch overall, and this is a game that I'm going to be more entertained watching than betting, as, I just don't think there's a ton of value on the board here. I haven't been impressed with the Red Sox for the most part this season, especially on the road, and especially when they're shorthanded here in this Toronto series. And the Blue Jays have done a really good job at backing up their starting pitchers. Even if they, have a rough start, they've been able to put up the runs to support them. And Manoah, he's 3-0 in all 3 of his starts this year. He's pitched 6 innings in each start. He's faced some tough lineups. He faced the Yankees on the road, didn't give up a single run, only 1 hit in that one, 7 strikeouts. He faced the Astros on the road, only gave up 2 earned runs in 6 innings, and the Blue Jays got the win in that one, 3-2. I think he does enough for another Blue Jays victory here at home. A big spot for him. Whitlock has pitched well, but he's not going to pitch too deep in this game. And I just haven't been impressed with the Red Sox bullpen, especially with it being shorthanded. Give me the Blue Jays in a lean here on the money line. Next up, we see the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Los Angeles Angels with Cal Quantrill and Reed Detmers as your projected starters. Now, Cal Quantrill 1-0 with a 3.94 ERA, but we got to look at his walks per 9 and strikeouts per 9. 3.94 walks per 9 and a 3.38 Ks per 9. He's allowing more walks than he has earned strikeouts this year, and a 3.38 Ks per 9 is not going to get it done. I know, there's very successful pitch to contact guys in the league's history, but when you're allowing more walks than you're earning strikeouts, I think you're in trouble, especially against a team that has done very, very well against right-handed pitching this year. Top 5 in baseball, the Angels are in team OPS against righties. On the other side, Reed Detmers, although he's had his fair share of struggles with that 6.57 ERA, he is a lefty, and the Guardians have really struggled against lefties in this season. 24th in baseball right now in team OPS against left-handed pitching, and Detmers is coming off his best start of the year, where he only gave up 3 hits and 2 earned runs, no homers, 1 walk, in 5 innings of work with 4 strikeouts against the Orioles. So, I think Detmers has a strong start, a quality start. I wouldn't say, perfect by any means, but it doesn't necessarily have to be with the Angels going to war and getting some runs on the board against Quantrill. I think he gets some run support, and I think the Angels win this game by 2 or more. So I'll lay the run line with Los Angeles as the home team. Next up, we see the Chicago Cubs taking on the Atlanta Braves. We're going to see Drew Smyly going up against his former club in this one, and he'll be facing off with Kyle Wright as the projected starters. Now, Drew Smyly, got to give him credit. He's having a quality year, 2.45 ERA throughout his first 3 outings. Now, he has faced the Pittsburgh Pirates twice this year. This Braves lineup a little bit more difficult, and they're top 10 right now in baseball in team OPS against lefties. I think the Braves lineup is going to be able to get to Smyly here, and I worry about the Chicago Cubs bullpen also. On the other side, Kyle Wright, who would have saw this coming? This is probably the biggest surprise of the year so far, in my opinion. We saw Wright really struggle in his MLB career up until this season, and a 2-0 record, 1.06 ERA, 26 strikeouts in 17 innings of work with a .76 whip. He's only given up 2 walks this year, only 2 earned runs this year, no home runs. He is just in too good a form for me to even think about fading him here. I got to take the Braves on the run line. I just think the pitching matchup is to their advantage way too much for me not to. So give me the Braves on the run line at home. Next up, we see the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. We're going to see Humberto Castellanos and Dakota Hudson battle it out here in our final game of the night. Now, the Diamondbacks really surprised a lot of people, including myself, this week, as they were able to take a 3-game series. They won 2 games out of the 3 against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Big-time dogs in all 3 of those games, and they were able to win Wednesday's game 3-1 with only 2 base hits in that one. The pitching staff has done a really good job, and I think Humberto Castellanos is a part of that. 1-0 record to 3.00 ERA. The strikeout numbers I'd like to see rise a bit, only 8 Ks in 12 innings, but he hasn't given up a single home run this year, and in my opinion, Dakota Hudson on the other side is just not a -180 pitcher by any means. He's pitched okay this year, 3.95 ERA, but the walks have been an issue. He's given up plenty of home runs in his past. He's already given up 2 this season. And I think the Diamondbacks can put up a fight offensively to at least keep this game close. I think this is a 1-run game either way. The Diamondbacks have a chance to win it outright, so give me Arizona getting the 1.5 runs. I'll take them on the run line. And that's it. Those are the games for Thursday, April 28th. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to leave your baseball picks down in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.